YouTubers, today I'm going to be doing another book review video, and it is on the Hunger Games trilogy. So as you can see, the first one comes in paperback, which I wish all of them came in paperback because it's just a lot easier to hold and you don't have to worry about the book slipping out of its sleeve and all of that. But anyway, I'm going to start by talking about the first one, which is called The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And probably one of the last people in this world to read these books, but I mean, I've heard really wonderful things about the Hunger Games trilogy, but every time I went to the bookstore and I read the back cover, it just didn't sound very interesting. Basically on the back cover it talks about how boys and girls are put into an arena and they fight to the death, and it is broadcasted on live television. Now that just sounds like reality TV to me, and I'm not a big fan of reality TV at all. Unless it's Big Brother. I love Big Brother. I have to watch that in a few hours. But anyway, I was wrong about this book and the entire trilogy. It is great. Prim was chosen to go into the arena to fight, but because Katniss loves her sister more than anything in the world, she volunteered to take her place. Along with Peeta, who she went to school with but never really associated. Games works is that there are 12 districts, and from each district on Reaping Day, they select one boy and one girl between the ages of 12 and 18 to go into the arena. 24 people enter this arena and one person comes out alive. And it's a pretty sickening idea if you think about it, how parents are forced to watch their children fight to the death. And the reward is that in the end, the victor gets a home for them and their family, and they don't have to struggle, worry about money and food and all of that, because these districts don't have a lot of money. For example, Katniss and her friend Gale, they go into the woods and hunt, which is actually illegal, but they hunt and they bring the animals back home and then they sell it, or they feed their family with it. Not only is it crucial for Katniss to survive, but also to win so that she can provide for her family, her mother and her sister, and Gale's family. That way they don't have to worry about what they're going to eat every night. Peeta is the boy tribute who is selected from District 12 to go into the Hunger Games. Now, he and Katniss are not friends, but he has helped her out in the past when she was basically starving to death. He's a baker. He works with his mother, and he purposely burned some bread and tossed it out to her so she could have some food for that night. And so for that, she's forever grateful to him. So obviously Katniss is not happy that she has to fight to the death against someone who helped her out in the past. Every district has a mentor. So Katniss and Peeta has Haymitch as their mentor. All the mentors are past victors. Haymitch is this drunk person that seems like he doesn't care about anything, and you find out later why he feels this way. He's actually a pretty clever guy. It was his idea for Katniss and Peeta to act like they're in love, and that way they can gain more sympathy, and sponsors basically pay to supply them with food or medicine, herbs, or anything like that. And it's really difficult to put this book down. I must say though that it is very gruesome, it's violent, and there's a lot of vivid description. So if you have a weak stomach, I would say be careful, read at your own discretion. I've seen websites where these books are rated for 12 and up. I don't know if it's a good idea for 12-year-olds to read it. I would say maybe 16 and up. If it really is for young adults. A 12-year-old is not an adult. But anyway, it's a good read, and it's not a difficult plot line to follow. So when I did read the ratings, I couldn't help but to believe that I wouldn't enjoy these books, because children's books usually aren't deep and meaningful enough to hold my attention, and I'm really spacey when I read. If it's not like an appropriate level for me, I'm not going to be able to get through it, and I hate not finishing a book. The overall message is something that adults can definitely relate to. The Capitol is in charge. They force parents to watch their children fight to the death year after year, and there is not a darn thing they can do about it. The second book in the trilogy is Catching Fire. Catching Fire has the best ending out of all three books. I love the way it ends, and it totally caught me off guard. Catching Fire picks up where we left off at the end of The Hunger Games. Katniss and Peeta found a way around the system, and they're both alive, but they're in a lot of trouble, especially Katniss. She's seen as the rebel, the one that started all this trouble. At this point, it's pretty obvious that her heart really yearns for Gale, and throughout the games, she had to pretend that she was in love with Peeta, so they had to kiss and exchange kind words and glances, which was difficult for her because she doesn't care for him that way. And, but coming back home, they have to go on the tours for the victors, and Katniss has to continue to put up this facade that she's in love with Peeta, and it hurts Gale, but she has to do this to basically, it really ruins her privacy. She can't have any time with him alone without the Capitol spying on them. As they did pretend that they were in love during the Hunger Games, she has to keep it up, otherwise they're in a heap of trouble, basically. I don't want to give too much away. I thought I saw what was coming in the second book, and I thought after reading the first book, I'm not going to finish reading the second and third book because I thought this one would be all about Katniss deciding whether she wants to be with Gale or if she wants to be with Peeta. Yes, she does struggle a great deal about whether she wants Gale or Peeta, but that's just a part of it. Attention, spoiler alert, although Katniss does struggle a lot with whether she wants Peeta or Gale, that's just a small part of the book. They're actually sent back into the arena. So Katniss's defiant act caused an uproar between the districts and the Capitol. The Capitol wants to maintain their power, so President Snow's way of delivering that message to Katniss is that they can't win. So the next Hunger Games is a lot different from the previous ones, meaning all the victors from the past are sent back into the arena. So Katniss and Peeta doesn't even get any time to enjoy their new lives. The fact that they fought for their lives and survived, and it doesn't mean anything because they're going back into the arena, and this time only one person comes out alive. I really liked the way the games went. I thought it was really clever that the arena was a clock and they had to figure out what was going to happen at each hour. And after reading the first book, I've already developed a bond for Katniss and Peeta, and I care about what happens to them, so it's sad and it's scary. I mean, when I read the part where President Snow announced that they're sending them back into the arena, I shrieked. I'm like, oh my god, how could he? I am impressed with how the games were created, and like I said earlier, the way this book ended really caught me off guard, and I really, really recommend that you read this book if you haven't. I know a lot of people were on the same boat as me, that this book would be all about Katniss struggling between two guys. No, it's not a love story, it's war. The last book is Mockingjay. Now, this one I would have to say is my least favorite. It is still a great book. It's cleverly written. Not my favorite, though. I think the author might have put the most work into this book out of the three of them because it is very clever and there's a lot of gameplay and a lot of mental battling in this book, and it's kind of like a game of chess, you know? You have to predict what's going on the other side and in order to make your own move. In the beginning of this book, Katniss is pretty much on her own. She finds out that Haymitch had been holding back on her. Now, Haymitch, he is a very clever guy, and I was definitely surprised that he had so much up his sleeve. Katniss had no idea what was going on because she would have ruined the plans because she's just a loose cannon. So she felt betrayed, but she still carried on her duties. And so I feel like Katniss's biggest struggle in this book was to get Peeta back. Not just physically, but mentally. So first he was captured by President Snow, and she worried about him, she wanted him back, and then she finally did get him back. His mind was stolen from him. He was brainwashed and turned against her. He tried to kill her, and so then that caused a whole other set of problems where she just had to really fight to remind him of who he was. First she gives up on him, and then she realizes that if they were in each other's shoes, Peeta would not have given up on her. He would have stayed by her side and done everything in his power to get her back. So in this book we learn that District 13 still stands, and that is where all the rebels are gathered to fight the Capitol. And that's basically where all of them are staying. Gotta say, I did not like the ending too much. Not because it was boring, it just didn't end the way that I was hoping it would. It was really sad at some points. I was crying a lot because you know how she didn't like Buttercup. She wanted to drown the ugly cat. And I love cats, obviously, but in the end, they bond, and I don't want to give away exactly what happens, but basically it's just the whole scene with the cat. It's just sad. And I didn't like the fact that Katniss ended up with Peeta. He was too good for her, honestly. Finnick, I think it was Finnick, who said that all the victors are victors for a reason except for Peeta. That means that, you know, relentless, they're ruthless, and they fight and do what they have to survive. And Peeta, he has a caring heart, and he doesn't mean to cause any kind of harm. And Gale is just more right for Katniss because he does have that same fighting spirit as she does, and they just understand each other more. But I do understand that when you've been through these experiences with the way Katniss and Peeta shared, there's nothing that compares to that. So I guess that's something that Gale will never have. I guess Peeta and Katniss, they balance each other's personalities out, and it does work out in the end. I'm just saying, I thought Gale was more right for her. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys read these books if you haven't already. Let me know what you think of them if you have read it. Thank you. I will talk to you all soon. Bye.